How are we doing, people? Hope you're well. Training hard. My name's Duncan Walsh. What have we got today? Well, today, folks, it's another good one. I'm going to do 10 minutes worth of Navy Seals. So I'm going to go at 7 per minute. I get 2 minutes rest. Then it's a minute's lunge jumps, 1 minute's rest. A minute's squat jumps, a minute's rest. A minute's heel to backside burpees, a minute's rest. A minute's star jumps, a minute's rest. And then I'm going to finish on 1 minute of an old favourite that is going to put the cardio through the roof and me probably on the floor. Let's get into it. Okay, yes, so the intention here was to do a 10-minute session of the Navy Seal Burpees with some plyometric jumps that I like to do, lunge jumps, squat jumps, heels to backside burpees and star jumps. I thought I would try and maintain about 7 per minute, 7 Navy Seals per minute, but I had a little bit of a mess up with the timing. I think I pressed the button on my watch and it set the lap time going, and then when I started again I think I'd lost a little bit of impetus, so I thought, well, I might as well try and continue it on to 20 minutes, which suited really because I was looking for about a session of about half an hour anyway. Obviously carried on with the session, so the total number I did of the seals was probably around about 120 in the 20 minutes, plus as well how many I would have done in the time that I paused for, so I might have been looking at around 130. I was going at a fairly hard but steady pace. These Navy Seal burpees are a fantastic addition to any workout schedule. I know the theme of this channel is over 40 or over 50 fitness, and for me I'm finding this type of session just ticks all the boxes because it's very strength orientated or strength endurance, but obviously it's cardio as well. It's not quite as cardio as the plyometric jumps, but that's mainly because in those jumps you're using your leg muscles, which are obviously the biggest muscles in your body, your glutes, your hamstrings, your quads, and with the Navy Seal burpees you're obviously using your pecs, triceps, shoulders, and to a lesser extent the legs. So I find a combination of the two is just a sweet spot for the strength and the cardio, extra tough cardio, which is going to really boost your VO2 max. Obviously VO2 max is quite commonly spoken about today. It used to be the case that it was mainly spoken of in sports science labs, whereas these days, because more and more studies are showing that it's the single biggest indicator of longevity, it's much more in conversations about general health and well-being. Just to give a definition, VO2 max is the maximum rate of oxygen that your body can use during intense exercise, and it's considered the best indicator of cardiovascular fitness. If you've got a higher VO2 max, it means you can produce more energy and endure physical activity for longer. So it's a key indicator of cardiorespiratory fitness, which is a key indicator of longevity. It has also been shown that HIIT training, or high intensity interval training, where you've got short bursts of very intense exercise with recovery periods, has been proven the most effective at improving VO2 max. You can also do a sort of a hard, steady session where you're maybe just bordering on your anaerobic threshold. And just to give a quick definition of anaerobic threshold, it's basically the highest intensity of exercise where your body can clear lactate as fast as it's being produced. So you're keeping the blood lactates at a steady level, but it's a threshold which, if you go beyond, the rate of lactate production is surpassing the rate of it being cleared. And then of course if too much lactic acid builds up in the blood and the muscles, you're basically going to fatigue and slow down. One thing about these Navy Seal burpees though is that they are incredibly specific in terms of how good you get at them. At the moment I try to get 1 in a week, but if you do want to get better at them, then I guess you've got to adhere to the usual training principles, which would be intensity, so try and go faster, frequency, how often you do a session of burpees, duration, how long you do the burpees for, and then of course specificity, which means that you've just got to do a lot of these to get good at them. The one thing that always surprises me is how they get your core. You'd think it'd just be chest, triceps, shoulders, but after a good old session of these, it's surprising how it gets your core because you're in the plank position for so long. For me, I think if I was doing them any more often, I might have to sacrifice some of the other forms of training which I do. So I like to go running, I'll do step running, occasionally do hill sprints. In a previous life I played squash, so I still like to keep in touch with that, hence I'm on a squash court now. So yeah, I've always been a big advocate of variety in your training, although of course you've still got to recognise that if you want to get good at one particular thing, then you've got to do a lot of that thing. But in terms of health and fitness, in a more generalised way, I've found it always best to have a variety of exercises, and even if it's always circuits, to have a variety of movements in the circuits. And I think if you can introduce plyometric jumps into your schedule, you get such a bang for your buck. Jumps are another thing that all research is pointing to the fact that it really super boosts your bone density. Of course, all of this is weight-bearing exercise, but jumps just add that extra intensity. The lunge jumps are very good because when you actually do the jump, you're pushing up from one leg. So they're probably the most difficult from a muscular point of view of all the jumps. Squat jumps, obviously great. Star jumps, another power exercise. And the heels to backside burpees probably demand the most from a cardio point of view, because it's a burpee not just with a normal jump, but by kicking your heels up to kick your backside. You know that you've got to have a minimum height that you've got to get up, so it's a really dynamic jump. It's not just a jump where you leave the ground an inch off the ground. You've really got to generate some power, and of course that is more demanding on the legs and more demanding on the cardio. I find that a minute of the heels to backside burpees provides the biggest oxygen depth of the 4 exercises that I show here. And if you land softly, it looks like they could be hard on your knees, but I've never had an issue with that. But they are a great one for boosting your cardio and your VO2 max. Probably the most difficult of the lot though is my last minute, which is my old favourite, my old foe, court sprints. Back in the day, these were my bread and butter, and I've done tens and tens of thousands of these over the years. I tend to lunge at the top, right leg, left leg at the other end, right leg, left leg, and that just gets the legs a little bit more rather than just touching the wall. But yeah, these skyrocket the heart rate, and again, a great boost for VO2 max. I think that really is the secret to training, to keeping your VO2 max high, and that is that some portion of your workout at some stage has to hit that zone 4 or zone 5. There's a lot of talk about steady state zone 2 work, but when you've got limited time, you can't really afford to be just working in zone 2. It's okay if you're an athlete where you're doing huge quantities of work and you spend a lot of your time in zone 2 building endurance. But if you can do 3 or 4 training sessions a week only and you want to get the most bang for your buck, you don't want to be spending most of it in zone 2. Okay, don't forget to check out my workout plans. They're actually held on my other channel, which is $1 Billion Syndrome, but I created this new channel because I wanted to sort of niche down a little bit more on the over 40s and over 50s, and the other channel was a little bit of a mishmash. But the 28-day workout plans are all held on $1 Billion Syndrome channel, and there's a link in the description how to join. $5.99 gets you access to all the timelines, all the workouts. If you want to do a 28-day blast, if you're more of a beginner, it'd be great to start with timeline 1, no equipment required, and week 4, day 7 of each timeline has an aspirational workout. In other words, it's a workout which is the toughest of the 28 days, and it's the one you build up to. Timeline 2 does have more of these Navy Seal burpees and the 1 pump burpees, which just have 1 push-up, as well as all the other types of circuits. And timeline 3 has pull-ups and dips involved, so that's a little bit heavier on the muscle building. Still build muscle on the other ones, but obviously with pull-ups and dips in timeline 3, there's that extra dimension of muscle that's being added. They're all cardio as well, so you really get a lot of bang for your buck, and they are excellent. I definitely put on muscle from my days of playing squash once I started doing these circuits. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.